Duolingo has about 53 million people opening it every single day, and one user is sitting on a streak past 4,200 days, more than 11 years of practice without missing once. That is staggering engagement. But it points at the question almost nobody asks out loud. After the streaks and the badges and the little green owl, can the app alone actually make you fluent? So we audited what Duolingo really builds and what it quietly leaves out. First, define the target, because fluency is a word that gets used loosely. The world has a standard for this, the Common European Framework, which grades a language learner across 6 steps. The first two, A1 and A2, are the basic user. The middle two, B1 and B2, are the independent user. And B2 is roughly where most people mean when they say fluent, the level where you can hold a real conversation, work, and follow native speakers without subtitles in your head. The top two, C1 and C2, are mastery. Now the structural split that the whole question turns on. Every language splits into 2 kinds of skill. Receptive skills, reading and listening, are about understanding what comes at you. Productive skills, speaking and writing, are about generating language yourself in real time, with nobody waiting. Almost everything that makes you feel fluent lives on the productive side. And as we are about to see, the app is built almost entirely on the other one. So start with the strongest case for the app, its own research, which is genuinely real. Duolingo funds efficacy studies, and they hold up reasonably well. One of them found that finishing the beginning content of a course produced reading and listening scores comparable to 4 semesters of university language study in roughly half the hours. An independent study of 245 learners who completed the basic content scored, on average, intermediate high in both reading and listening. And a later study found that 7 units of work landed learners at a level comparable to 5 university semesters. These are not nothing. But read the fine print on what got measured. Every one of these headline results is reading and listening. The receptive side. The understanding side. That is exactly the half of the language the app is genuinely good at, and it is not an accident that it is the half it chose to measure. Now translate those wins onto the fluency ladder, because this is where the marketing and the evidence part ways. Finishing the basic content of a Duolingo course lands a typical learner around A2, the top of the basic user band. That is a real achievement. You can order food, read signs, follow simple sentences. But A2 is not conversational fluency, and it is not close up at the level most people actually mean by fluent is B2, which sits 2 full steps higher and demands the productive skills the app barely trains. Duolingo itself is quietly honest about this when you read past the advertising. Its own guidance states plainly that no single course, app, method, or book can help you reach all your language goals, and that to reach high proficiency, you will need to dedicate serious study time for a long time. That is the company telling you, in its own words, that the app is a floor, not a finish line. Here's the gap named directly. Matt Kessler, an applied linguist who has studied the app, puts it bluntly. Duolingo is good for receptive skills, but people struggle with production, speaking, and writing, and studies have shown that again and again. The reason is structural. The core experience is one person tapping a screen alone. You translate isolated sentences, you arrange word tiles, you repeat after a voice. You almost never construct a thought from scratch, under pressure, with a real human waiting for an answer, which is the entire skill of speaking. Even on the app's own terms, only about half of learners hit their on-target speaking scores. So the streak that feels like progress is mostly logging receptive reps. The thing that actually breaks when you try to speak abroad, generating language live, is the one muscle the single-player loop can't really train. And this is where the genius of the product quietly works against the learner. The streak is the most powerful retention feature ever built into an education app, and it runs on loss aversion, the fear of breaking a number you have protected for hundreds of days. It is brilliant for the business. More than 5 million people hold streaks of a year or longer, and the company crossed 50 million daily users on the back of it. But researchers keep finding the same tension. The streak rewards showing up, not learning. Learners start optimizing for the cheapest lesson that keeps the number alive. And a product manager described the actual design goal as content people have fun with and learn as a byproduct. A byproduct. So a 1,000-day streak can mean 1,000 days of genuine study, or 1,000 days of tapping the easiest possible reps at midnight to protect a number. The streak measures your loyalty to the app. It does not measure your command of the language. So what does the whole picture actually show? Duolingo is an excellent on-ramp and a terrible destination. The pattern that holds across every honest study is consistent. The app reliably builds vocabulary, reading, and listening to the basic user level, and it does that more cheaply and more sustainably than almost anything else, because the gamification solves the hardest problem in learning, getting you to come back tomorrow. That is real value. But it tops out exactly where fluency begins, because fluency is built on output, and output is built by producing language with other people. The learners who actually get fluent almost never stop at the app. They use it as the warm-up, the daily vocabulary and grammar drip, and then they stack the thing it can't give them on top: live conversation, a tutor, a language partner, time inside the actual language. The app builds the receptive half. You have to go build the other half yourself. So, does Duolingo actually make you fluent? The honest, evidence-backed answer is no, not on its own, but it was never really built to, and it is genuinely excellent at the job it does do. It will carry you to roughly the basic user level in reading and listening faster and more consistently than willpower alone ever would. And that is a real and useful floor. What it will not do is hand you a conversation, because conversation is produced, not recognized, and production is the half the single player loop leaves on the table. So the single sharpest filter is this one question: is your daily streak building skill, or just protecting a number? If the app is the warm-up before you go speak with real people, it is one of the best tools ever made. If the streak has become the whole project, you are training loyalty to an app and mistaking it for learning a language. That's where the claim lands.